Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Drew back again with another video for all you American soccer fans out there. And today I got some special guests here. I got Austin and Patrick from Young Americans Abroad. If you guys watch this channel, you guys most likely know who these guys are. Welcome to the channel, guys.
Thanks for having us, Drew. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
appreciate it, Drew. We're excited to be here.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. So we wanted to get together and talk about, you know, Mexican youth talent versus American youth talent. There's been some beef in the Twitterverse of, this soccer world here between these two rivalry nations. And I just want to just go through some of the Mexican talent that we have, or at least that Mexico has coming up through the ranks, and compare them to our American soccer player youth talents and see where they're at, how they compare to each other, and where these players are playing at in this moment in time in their careers. So let's start off first with, I think, for me, the most exciting youth Mexican player. So we're gonna do Mexico first, by the way. The most exciting Mexico youth talent I see is Jose Macias from Chivas Guadalajara. I think this guy has I right off the bat, I don't follow Liga MX too much, but I do know a little bit about these guys, enough to really put my judgment on there. I've read up about them. I've seen some highlights. I've seen some stats, and for the most part, they're pretty impressive. And I'll just put that out there right now from American soccer fan. Jose Macias, what do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's really prolific as a striker, and I really think he's gonna be kind of the centerpiece of their attack. Going forward for the next 10 plus years. You saw it at the youth levels. He really did a good job kind of carrying. I believe it was the under 20 team 2 years ago when we had a pretty good run ourselves. But he was the one player that always seemed to have that strong mentality and just always scored. You've seen that at the club level too. Like you said, I believe he's on loan at Lyon for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then back at Chivas now. So yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of different talents. I thought of him more as a poacher, but then when I started watching highlights of him and things like that, he's definitely got technical ability too.
Yeah.
And he's really an all around good striker. So yeah, I don't know, Pat, if you want to take the
just
from here.
piggyback off of you, Austin, and Drew. I mean, he does have that knack for a goal, but he has that kind of that it factor we were talking about, that sizzle kind of, where he kind of just dazzles on the ball and can just blow by any defender, pretty quickly there. So he's pretty shifty and certainly a threat moving forward. I think he's even had about 5 or 6 goals this season to start. So he's off to a pretty hot streak there. So we'll have to watch out for him.
Yeah, he's on fire. And he's also a CONCACAF Champions League winner with Chivas, which is, a big thing that we want for our American soccer players, at least in MLS. That's something hard for us to attain. But yeah, Jose Macias, I think he is definitely one of the most exciting talents for Mexico. And I'm excited to watch him closely to see what kind of threat he poses to our team in the future when I'm sure we will meet up eventually. So going up from that high of that Mexican player, let's go to a little bit lower for Diego Linus, who plays right now for Real Betis in the Spanish First Division. What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, another player that, I guess not another player, but he was someone that really impressed at the youth levels. Got that big money move to Real Betis. I think it was for like 15 million, almost 2 years ago now. And just it really hasn't happened for him in La Liga for one reason or another. He hasn't gotten the playing time that I feel like they thought he was going to get going in. And obviously some of that's on him, probably just not performing in the minutes he's gotten, but also maybe just not getting a fair chance right from the get-go. So yeah, I feel like he's a player that is kind of in a weird state right now. Like I feel like he's still figuring things out. He's still really exciting, but just want to see a little bit more of him going forward.
Yeah, I agree with Austin from the club level. We'd like to see going forward, and I'm sure he'll get there just because of his mentality and what we've seen in the past. Even from the international side of things, and bringing back that scuffle with Macias and him.
Yeah, that was him in that picture, in that infamous picture.
Right, exactly. So I mean, I think his mentality is going to overcome. Whether it's a different club or what his future holds, but I still think he's going to be a crucial part of this Mexican national team going forward.
Yeah, I think time will tell how he performs. So he's still young, only 20 years old.
Yeah,
I think
that's
as long as
crazy.
as long as he can just really get his mentality in the right zone, I think once he starts scoring some goals, which he has scored really no goals for Betis in the Spanish league itself, which is kind of crazy. But once he gets going with goals, I think that'll give him a little bit of boost in confidence and maybe become the player that we all thought he was going to be right now.
Yeah, maybe a loan move too. Like I feel like a loan could kind of jumpstart his career a little bit and kind of get him back on the right track. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Exactly. All right, I'll let you guys pick the next player to talk about.
Yeah. So Pat, do you want to talk about Edson Alvarez?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of a topic point right now. It seems like.
Yeah, we'll dive into him, Austin. The Ajax man there. So he made that move, back in 2019 from Club America. Some good success there, but he certainly, found minutes a little difficult to come by with Ajax, kind of in and out of the lineup as a substitute. I think the last 4 or 5 games, this season, he was just on the bench. He was able to play 45 in the most recent one I looked up. But I know there's been a little bit of, and we were talking about this a little bit before, Austin, uncertainty moving forward with Ajax, and he's a little bit upset and frustrated maybe with the lack of playing time.
Yeah, and he's a really defensive player. He's kind of a center back or CDM. Got some versatility there, but always loves to stick a foot in on a challenge and intercept the ball. I feel like he's going to be still a big part of the Mexican national team going forward. But yeah it's definitely an interesting time for him at Ajax.
Yeah, he definitely will be I think a big part for the Mexico national team, considering he did actually win a Gold Cup with them in the most recent Gold Cup. So
right.
you see a future with him, and I think he's probably solid enough to really make that cut in the lineup for Mexico. So let's now talk about Cesar Montes, a defender. Switch it up a bit. Defenders here, more defenders. What do you guys think about him?
You want to take him, Pat?
Yeah, no, he's awesome. I think from Mexican defending perspective, he's just a boss back there, I would say. He's physically strong, really good in the air. A threat going forward on set pieces, but also winning the ball in aerial duels. He's still with a really top club there in Monterrey, and this season he's starting consistently. I think he's had about 12 or 13 starts now.
Yeah.
Finish out, and I believe they finished 5th there. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? He looks pretty solid here for moving forward.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, man. I think he's good. I think he's gonna always. Hector Moreno is one of Mexico's most first choice center backs for the national team. But I think this guy is gonna be the new if Montes is not playing, I don't know how we're going to do defensively. I feel like he's just going to keep going up and up in terms of his ability, in terms of him, defending wise. He actually has 3 assists this season as well, which means he's probably good with the ball at his feet, and that's not a bad thing to have in a defender.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you mentioned Hector Moreno because that's kind of where I was going to go too. So I just think he's gotten so much experience so far in his career, and I just feel like there's going to be a time in his career where he's going to want to take the next step and go to Europe. And I just see him kind of following that same path that Hector Moreno set. Nestor Araujo is another player, center back right now in La Liga. And I just feel like that could kind of be his path going forward.
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe another year in Liga MX, and he'll be off to another big top 5 league. All right, so now let's talk about the big one. Efrain Alvarez. This guy is there's might be a lot of unpopular opinion, but to me, I don't really rate this guy as highly as a lot of people do. I don't see the hype about him, but I need to know your guys' thought, because he's gonna be potentially an American soccer player now. We don't know yet. It's still up in the air.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the fun part about him when we talk about him. It's just people either love him and think he's going to be, a star player, or they think he's not going to be that and kind of be a bust. In my opinion, I think he's got a fantastic left foot. He can score goals in and around the box for fun, so to speak. We've seen that in the USL. We've also seen it at some of the youth tournaments that he's participated in with Mexico. But really it's just that like athleticism or work rate, I would say. That's kind of the thing he's gotta work on a little bit, and kind of refine that to really make it and shine at the pro level. But I still think he's got great skills and like technical ability.
Yeah, I agree. He is certainly a player that has a big decision on his hands. It'll be kind of interesting with Berhalter, recruiting, and then also Tata there. It'll be really intriguing to see where he goes. I think on a lot of players now, you're seeing the dual nationals, especially with the U.S., seeing how loaded we're getting in terms of youth prospects, and I know Mexico really wants to retain those dual nationals, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think once if eventually if more players have decide to play for USA rather than Mexico, that's just going to make the rivalry even more intense down the line. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right.
Always love a good rivalry.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Now let's talk about our boys. Now let's talk about the American youth talent coming up in the ranks. Let's start off probably with, I think, the USA Player of the Year for me, who had a breakout year, Gio Reyna.
Well, there we go. Okay. So so Gio Reyna has just been phenomenal, I think, to start for Dortmund. You're talking about a player who just turned 18 in November. Really has taken the next step from, I feel like, what Christian Pulisic did at Dortmund. I know it's crazy to say that already. He's not even a full season in, but as you've seen this year, he's got Pat? I think it's 4 goals and 6 assists in like 19 or 20 games as a 17/18-year-old. I just think his rise is going to be bigger than Christian Pulisic, which is crazy to think about. And I really just think he could become one of the best players on our national team and kind of be big presence. So
he's unreal. Drew Nelson, I think he's gonna be that guy moving forward. And it'll be interesting to see where, in terms of the field, where he's going to be slotted at. Is it winger? Is it more centrally? You've seen him at different spots with Dortmund here as opposed to the national team. So, but that also is a good problem, I think, to have.
Yeah, he's very, very versatile. He can play on the wings, down in the middle. I think that's, like you said, it's a big addition for us either way. It's not a problem at all. And I think his rise, like you said, Austin, is definitely going to be bigger than Pulisic's, probably. Like, it just looks already that it's just crazy. It's got so much potential for him. It's crazy. All right, I'm done raving about right now. So let's talk about the big guy himself, Christian Pulisic. Man, like, this guy last 2 years I feel like he's been around for 10 years, but it's actually only been 4 years since his debut for the senior team of the national team. But like, it feels a lot longer, doesn't it?
It does feel a lot longer, and I don't know if it's from 2020 or what, but it seems like he's been along for a long time, and especially unfortunately with that Trinidad, I don't want to speak of that moment too much, but he's really just picked it up in terms of the club perspective, jumping over to Chelsea, working his way, forcing Frank Lampard into his plans there, and then it's just been one of those situations we've talked about too, Austin and I, Drew, where if he can just stay healthy, for a full season, and just, fingers crossed, knock on some wood, it's just the injuries that seem to be plaguing him, because I think a full season of Pulisic in the Premier League, he is, well over, double digits in scoring, and like you said, one of the best wingers. Yeah.
It's scary though, his injury proneness right now. I feel like every other weekend he's getting injured, or he's sitting out because he could risk an injury. That scares me, because this was our golden boy for like how many years? Like, this is our guy's gonna win us World Cups or just start a new beginning for USA. Now it's like I barely see him play on the weekend. That's worrying.
Yeah, dang hamstrings.
The worst injuries to have, I heard too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sucks.
But and I don't want to compare it, but like Bale and some of those other players that seem to have those nagging injuries throughout their career. So hopefully it's not one of those situations.
Yeah. We'll see. All right. I think another player I want to talk about that I'm very fond of is Serginho Dest. I think this guy played for Barcelona, the team that I mostly support at club level. I think Barca really not on fire like they usually are in most recent years, but every time I watch the game of Barca, this guy, Dest, is like the star of the whole show. Minus Messi, but this guy is always with the flair, the technical ability. just the way his passing, his crossing, he can finish a ball too as well in goal. Like he just recently scored in the Champions League. I think this guy definitely our number one right back. Definitely one of the first players on our team sheet for the national team.
Yeah, he's had a really impressive rise. From Ajax, coming to Barca, and again, kind of battling, and it was fortunate versus some of the unfortunate injuries, from Barca's perspective, but was able to prove his value there. And like you said, his technical ability moving forward, he's such a threat, and his combination play, he just fits that Barca mold and style so well. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to go off of what Drew said. He plays so confidently, and he's so skillful with the ball that it just makes it fun to watch him. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. He can do things with both feet. He's so comfortable getting forward and taking players on that it's just insane to think that he chose us and that we have a player as a right back thing that can do those things.
Yeah, with that quality, I think that's something we've wanted for years. Having a player who can go one-on-one with another opponent, and he can do like 2-on-1 and kind of get around them with his tricky feet. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of snakes and nutmegs and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you just love to see it from the American soccer play. That's our nation now doing that stuff,
For sure.
Good. Yeah, he's definitely one on the biggest rise as well. So let's go ahead and talk about another player on the big rise, Weston McKennie. I think this guy, obviously on loan from Schalke. Thank goodness, I feel like Schalke is not the best team right now. Playing at
going
Juventus.
down, Drew. Going down.
The sinking ship.
Absolutely killing it at Juventus. Champions League wise, Serie A wise, this guy is just on fire. And he's proved. I thought he kind of was a little overhyped, but he really proved me wrong. Like he shut me up real quick.
Yeah, and he's really multifaceted too. Like everyone, I feel, thought he was that defensive midfielder when he's more of that box-to-box player, can get forward. He's so good at heading the ball. Like that's such a underrated skill of his. Like he literally wins almost every header that he goes up for. It's really
not
insane.
even that tall either. Like,
yeah, he's just got that bounce too. Like he's got sneaky athleticism where like Tyler Adams, we know he's super agile, things like that. Like Weston McKennie's right there with him, in my opinion. So I think you're just seeing kind of all that come into fruition at Juventus with Andrea Pirlo kind of giving him some pointers to kind of refine his passing, refine just the way he sees the game. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. We have Pirlo coaching our players. Like
that's great.
He's playing alongside Ronaldo there, and I was worried, like you said, from Schalke too, and adjusting to a club of that size, over in Italy, and the different tactics they have, and it just kind of proves his mentality and how he's able to adjust so quickly and fight for a spot in that crowded midfield.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think definitely another one to watch. Of course, obviously we're watching him now, but I think this guy, he's very versatile as well. I feel like like you said, he was like a lot of people thought he was like a defensive midfielder, kind of that solid type, but he's very fluid in his movement. He can just go around anywhere and just score some goals, make some tackles, and that's his whole day. Like that's all we need from this guy.
How many miles do you think he clocks on the field?
he just never runs out of breath. His like stamina bar is like always full.
Yeah. That's the thing I noticed most recently too. Like I feel like that Wales game, the friendly, he just ran all.
He was
game.
all over the place. Like this guy does not get tired. Like he's sweating bullets, but he's running like he just started the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I think a guy who really is a box-to-box, center defensive midfielder is Tyler Adams. I think this guy, highly rated as well, a very one to watch ever since leaving New York Red Bulls to the Bundesliga and RB Leipzig. This guy has been killing it as well for his current club in Germany. I think he's, obviously a starter. He's, always one of the first players named to Leipzig's lineup when he's available. This guy excites me just watching his games. What do you guys think about Tyler Adams?
Yeah, and he just got the mentality too. Like in any interview he's in, he always just seems like he's, the most confident person in the room.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just going to be so key going forward for the national team, just having that like confidence from one player to kind of draw on for the whole group. And yeah, like you said his move to Leipzig, I know going into the move, I thought it was going to take some time for him to adapt, but he really just jumped right into the team there at Leipzig and, got minutes right away and really established himself quick. So I think that's, such a big part of who he is.
Yeah. And he's just another player that, can he's really good defensively, finds himself all over the field, but covers ground really quickly and able to disrupt play and counters or anything going forward. Almost kind of that. I think the coach said it, kind of that quarterback of the team. Starting the play and moving the ball forward. So that was kind of an interesting American analogy, but yeah, it's certainly a player with great.
It fits. That analogy fits him. He reads the game really, really well. Yeah. And like you said, Austin, about the confidence level, yeah, that's something we definitely need in the national team. I feel like players who play with confidence, like Tyler Adams, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, like you see these guys and they're just so confident on the ball, so confident in their game in that current match. Like that's something we need to bring up our level even higher. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so just judging off based off 5 against 5 like that, like just comparing them, a lot of the Liga MX players are Liga MX players, but not to knock that. I mean, Liga MX really kicks their asses in Champions League anyway, so you can't really knock that league. But just basically just the perspective of where our players are playing currently in their careers and at what age. All the players, like we mentioned, are playing overseas, still young, early 20s or even teenagers. Playing at the highest level in their clubs, being starters, being important key players for their clubs. So it kind of looks like we have the edge in this 5v5 video.
Of course, we couldn't give Mexico the edge. And
I know, right? American Soccer Channel, Young Americans Abroad. What do you guys think if you guys are watching this?
No, yeah, it'll be interesting just because with the the Gold Cup and just success they've had as a national team and how hopefully things will kind of shift in our direction. So. We'll have to kind of see.
Yeah, and not to knock Mexico at all, but that's not what my point was in this video. But I think even having good national team players for Mexico also boosts our game because we need to match their energy as well, and also that just boosts the game of CONCACAF as a whole, and maybe one day make it a little more competitive than it is currently. So I think that's a good thing for us.
Yeah, Canada's got some players there. Everybody seems to be stepping up their level.
And that's good. And probably be respected around the world, hopefully pretty soon in CONCACAF. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching the video with me, Austin, and Patrick from Young Americans Abroad. You guys can check them out on their Instagram, correct?
Yep. We have an Instagram, Young Americans Abroad 1. So make sure you follow us there and check us out, like Drew said. Yeah, and all the links will be down below in the description box. Guys, thanks for being on the channel. I really appreciate it. It was good to talk about American soccer players with like the young American kings and themselves. Yeah, thanks for having us, Drew.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Drew. Your YouTube channel is awesome there.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you.